So we're going to start today with something that should be review for us because everything in this box is stuff that you guys know already. We're just going to put it all in one place so that you have something you can use as a reference. So the last couple days I've been talking about articles, and articles are just those little bitty words that go before nouns. So the articles that we deal with in French are called articles définis or definite articles, articles indéfinis or indefinite articles, and articles partitifs or partitive articles. But for the most part, we're just going to refer to them by their English equivalents. Definite articles are the, indefinite articles mean a or an, and partitive articles mean some. Now in English, we just have the, and some, and a becomes and before a vowel, and that's all there is. In French, of course, this is much more complicated because articles have to change to match the noun that they describe. So they change based on gender, masculine, feminine. They also change based on number, singular versus plural, and sometimes they change if that next word begins with a vowel, the same way that a becomes an before a vowel sound. So as you can see here, there are 4 different versions of the. There are 2 different ways to say a or an, and there are 4 different versions of some. What I want you to do is fill in what you remember and understand based on what you know already. Which form of each of those would you use in front of a masculine singular word, in front of a feminine singular word, in front of a singular word that begins with a vowel sound, and in front of a plural word? So you should know all this already. Fill it in, and then we'll go through it together. So our forms of the are le masculin, la féminin, l'apostrophe we use in front of a singular word that begins with a vowel sound, and les we use in front of a plural word. So le, la, l'apostrophe, and les. Now for a and an, there are only 2 different versions of these. We use un in front of a masculine singular word and une in front of a feminine singular word. We don't have a different version before a vowel sound. And of course, a can't be plural. So there is no plural in this row. When we think of the plural of un or une, what we think of is des. So des is down here because technically it means some. So we find it in this row. So the plural of un and une is des. But we have 3 other words that also mean some that we have learned. What we're doing essentially is we're putting the word de along with the form of the. So I'm actually going to work backwards in this case. De plus les made des. That's how we came up with that. De plus l'apostrophe is de l'apostrophe. De plus la is de la. And de plus le is going to make a contraction. We're going to shove those 2 together, and de plus le becomes du. Okay, so these are all of the articles that you should have filled in on your chart. Now, this is something that we're going to come back to next year in French 2 as a topic. But I want to give you at least a little introduction right now, because you might be thinking, well, when am I supposed to use the, and when am I supposed to use a, and when am I supposed to use some? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the usage of articles. In French, you must use an article before every noun. And this is what makes those translations sound a little bit awkward sometimes when I actually translate something word for word from French into English. I'll put in a the or a some where we simply wouldn't use a word there. But in French, you have to have one of those articles before every single noun. So the rule for which kind of article am I going to use is we use a definite article, those are the ones that mean the, to express a general thought, such as liking or disliking. So if you want to say that you like orange juice, you'd say j'aime le jus d'orange. Or if you don't like grape juice, you say je n'aime pas le jus de raisin. So for liking and disliking, we use definite articles, le, la, les, à l'apostrophe. The other two groups of articles were called indefinite and partitive. So that's row 2 and 3 on your little chart there. We use indefinite or partitive articles when you're expressing basically anything other than liking or disliking. So examples might be wanting, eating, drinking, having, buying, the list goes on and on and on. Okay, so we use forms of the to express liking or disliking. We use forms of a or some when our sentence indicates just about anything else. And as we talked about yesterday, those indefinite and partitive articles, the a and some, remember those all change to de in the negative? So we saw that yesterday. What I need you to know about this, though, is that definite articles, the forms of the, those do not change in the negative. Those don't ever need to change. So we're going to take a look at some examples of how this works. Okay, now this might be a little overwhelming right now, so let's do that. We're going to start with this. I like grapefruit. Now, we never really say grapefruits, plural in English, but in French you would. So pamplemousse is going to be plural here. Since this is expressing the idea of liking or disliking, we use our definite articles. So we would say j'aime les pamplemousses. Let's say maybe I don't like them. Je n'aime pas les pamplemousses. We're going to use les in both a positive and a negative sentence. That does not change at all. Okay, let's change what our sentence is about. J'ai. J'ai means I have. Now this, think about it in English, it's pretty logical. I have a grapefruit. I have one grapefruit. J'ai un pamplemousse. Pamplemousse is masculine even though it ends with an E, so it's an exception to our gender rule. J'ai un pamplemousse. I have a grapefruit. However, let's say that I don't actually have a grapefruit. In the negative version, I'm going to say je n'ai pas de pamplemousse. My un changes to a de in that structure. Okay, so essentially when it doesn't exist, I can't use un, I'm using de instead. Now I'm changing my verb again. Je mange pamplemousse. So I eat grapefruit. Well, I might not eat an entire grapefruit because the whole thing is a lot. And I'm certainly not going to eat multiple grapefruits. Maybe I'm just going to have a half of one. So I'm going to eat some grapefruit. So I would say je mange du pamplemousse. That's our partitive article. Je mange du pamplemousse. I'm eating some grapefruit. Except, yeah, no, I'm not. Je ne mange pas de pamplemousse. Once again, in a negative sentence, my du is also changing to de. Last example, this is a verb that I don't think we've seen before. J'achète. J'achète means I buy. So j'achète, well, if I'm going to go to the store, I certainly can't buy part of a grapefruit. And I'm not just going to buy one grapefruit, I'm going to get multiple. So j'achète des pamplemousses. I am buying some grapefruits. Des because it's plural in this case. Except, nah, I don't think we need any. Je n'achète pas de pamplemousse. Once again, when this doesn't exist, when I don't have, when I'm not eating, when I'm not buying, then my article changes to de. Okay? In this negative sentence, grapefruit still exists, even though I don't like them. It doesn't negate their existence. But the idea is kind of when the structure of the sentence is showing that it's not there. I don't have, I'm not eating, I'm not buying. Then we change our article to a de, no matter what it started out with. Un changes to de, du changes to de changes to de in a negative sentence. But when we're talking about liking and disliking, we use our forms of the, and those do not change in a negative. Okay, so we're going to do a little practice with this. This might be a little bit challenging, but we'll see how you do. This is a conversation between two people, and I have taken out all of the articles. So your job is to figure out which kind of article goes in each blank using the chart that you have and the notes that you filled out underneath it. So what you need to do first is you need to look at what is the verb in the sentence. Is the verb showing liking or disliking? If it's showing liking or disliking, we're going to use le, la, les, or l'apostrophe. If it's showing anything other than that, then you need to decide if you would say a or some and use the appropriate article. And if that happens to be in a negative, then those all change to de. So this is a little bit more complicated, but I just want to give you guys the practice in it. So you're going to pause here, work on filling out all of your blanks, and then we'll go through it together. So, tu aimes les pommes? Do you like apples? Again, we wouldn't put a word there, but in French you need to have an article, and if it's liking or disliking, we use the form of the. We're using les, of course, because pomme is plural. Tu aimes les pommes? Do you like apples? Oui, j'adore les pommes. Yes, I love apples. This is still liking or disliking, so we still use a form of the. Je prends une pomme tous les jours au petit déjeuner. Toi aussi? I have an apple every day for breakfast. You too? So this is no longer liking or disliking. This is more of like an action. And when we have an action, then we would say a or some. You would probably say that you have an apple because you can probably realistically eat the entire thing for breakfast. So we would use une in this case. Non, je n'aime pas les pommes. No, I don't like apples. So again, this is still preference, liking or disliking. We're still going to use a form of the. Even though it's negative, that does not change it. Mais j'aime bien le yaourt et les céréales. But I really like yogurt and cereal. Again, notice that we simply wouldn't put words there in English, but in French, you need to have an article. And since it's liking or disliking, we use a form of the. Avant l'école, je prends un yaourt or du yaourt, either of those would make sense, et des céréales avec du jus d'orange. Before school, I have, you could say a yogurt if it's one container, or du yaourt if it's like just some yogurt that you scoop out into a bowl, and some cereal with some orange juice. Since we're talking about an action here, we use the indefinite or partitive articles. Moi, je n'aime pas le jus d'orange. Me, I don't like orange juice. Disliking, we use a form of the. Je bois de l'eau ou du chocolat chaud le week-end avec un croissant. So I drink, this is not liking, this is an action. So with an action, we're going to use probably a partitive article. So I drink some water or some hot chocolate on the weekend with a croissant. Now we would probably say un croissant rather than du croissant, because du croissant would be less than the whole thing, and you wouldn't really eat less than the whole thing. You're going to eat the entire croissant. It's one serving. Last one is a little bit trickier because we're starting with the article. Les croissants, c'est bon, mais je préfère manger un pain au chocolat avec du café au lait le week-end. Now, we don't have a direct like j'aime or je n'aime pas phrase here, but we're giving an opinion. So it's the same idea as saying I like. So this person is saying croissants are good, les croissants c'est bon, but I prefer to eat a pain au chocolat, the chocolate-filled croissant, okay? And again, you would eat a whole thing, so 1 with some coffee with milk. I would say that for this, you could also say un café au lait, because that would give the idea of 1 cup or 1 bowl of coffee with milk. So either du café au lait or un café au lait le weekend.